Howdy. Welcome
Hey,
to our growth hacking chat at Happit. New year, new season.
Yeah, we had a short break, but now we're back. It's frozen outside. I was like in pain walking into the office, but now we're warm again here.
It's the season when your face hurts from the cold.
Yeah, not to mention other parts, which would not.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Okay, so today we have a bit of a special episode since we have a special guest today, and today we talk about the business impact of growth hacking. So welcome, Maria.
Hi, nice to be here. Hello.
Cool to have you. Tell a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, definitely. My name is Maria Kreivsko-Olkonen. I'm actually a CEO and a partner at Growth Tribe Finland. I joined the company last year. My background is from the event industry. I was working for over 5 years at Nordic Business Forum. So, this whole idea about the thought leadership, big ideas for the executives, for the business, talking about the strategy is close to my heart. But just now I have the chance to do it on the more like a micro level and actually talk about concrete strategies and concrete ideas as well for businesses. So that's cool.
From Business Forum to the Happy Chat, how awesome is that?
We're coming up the world. That's what you're saying.
Yeah,
exactly. We're getting there.
Awesome. Yeah, so we prepared a few questions for you, and as always, we have this very relaxed chat about this. And as we went through in the preparation, there's some really cool stuff coming up. So let's get started. So the first question, we want to talk a little bit about key elements to think about when using the growth hacking mindset as a business strategy. So Maria, what is your take on that?
Yeah, first of all, I think it's a very good question. If we actually put one more slide, I think there's a couple of elements that companies should think about, or are those who are actually doing it right, they are putting it into the practice. So which we find it very interesting to look at is those elements are definitely looking at the data and testing. So data is basically the source of information and base for the decisions, right? So be data driven in whatever you do. Right? So that is the one thing. It's a core thing, I think, for growth hacking and experimentation. But actually, to run experiments, which is also base for the growth hacking, to test new things, it means that you will fail, because by definition that means that you are trying something new. So that's why we strongly believe that people who are doing it well, or teams who are doing it very well, they understand psychology very well. So they understand the behavioral psychology, not only from the customer's point of view, but also the teams. They have this psychological safety in the organization. So they are not afraid to fail. Let's just say that's straightforward, one of the reasons. Then another part, when you have a psychological safety, of course, then you feel safe. So then your creativity booms. So you can actually bring, really cool experiments. One of our customer who is from the, healthcare industry, somebody came up with the crazy idea to put, ads on Tinder. And in the beginning, it was like a shock for everybody. But, they gave it a try, and it actually turned out to be a great experiment.
Hey, there's a lot of target audience there. Don't underestimate it. Don't underestimate Tinder.
Yeah,
if it was for every industry, but yeah.
Yeah, Tinder, healthcare makes kind of sense.
Yes, well, exactly. But so those are those couple of elements, and then the last one is the tools and automation, which you have to understand tools, right? And you guys are one of those companies who provide great tools for the organizations as well. So that's why it's part. So this is a bit more complicated. What we've done at Growth Tribe, we kind of simplified it. And we kind of believe that, every transformation, also experimentation, it's basically 4 fundamentals. So people is the number one, and looking at the talent and capabilities of people, because in the end, people are the ones who are running the experiments, right?
Yes.
Then strategy, then the process and tools.
Yeah.
Those are
and I think what we discussed before as well, that most, let's say, customers or companies, they look it from the other way around, that they first look at the tools. Okay, we need to have the growth tools in place that we actually can start doing growth hacking and put the people last.
And the other thing that I would notice here is, for example, that we keep always repeating, data is like your bread and butter for every day. It's all about data-driven decision making. the only way that you can justify what you're doing and say that if this was a failure or a win is by using the data. So that's kind of like the anchor of everything, and we've said it enough, but I think that at this stage it's something that we cannot just overstate, that always let the data drive you.
Exactly. I mean, this is something what I needed to learn as well with Happit, you know, in the whole journey, that my opinion as, let's say, a product owner or as father of the product or a co-father, my opinion really doesn't matter. The data's opinion matter, right? Yes. Because I have a belief, or I have an idea about something, what I believe is something what people want or need.
Yeah.
But the data shows like black and white if the market is ready or adopts it. So
it's been a hard journey, but you've learned, my man.
Exactly. Totally. But there is this kind of thing of the, you know, opinion of the highest paid person in the room. There is this kind of like, there is this, term for it, that it might, you know, I can imagine that there might be a lot of meetings where there's a lot of stakeholders, and then, you know, like, for example, let's say C-level person comes to the room and he's like, we should do this or we should do that, and everybody suddenly knows, like, okay, let's do that, exactly, you know, because the opinion of the person counts instead of actually exactly looking at the data first.
Exactly.
And that's a problem with the gatekeepers in big organizations, and I think that was one of the keys that we wanted to talk to you about, like, how do you get through that type of, let's say, challenges?
Yeah, exactly.
All right. We talked before a bit about failing.
Yeah, you know, this is part of the growth hacking. I think failing is a part of it, inevitable part. So again, like, to make it easy, and a good example, we actually do it at Growth Tribe. I just heard some other examples that other companies are doing it as well, which is great. It's one way to do it is just to have a fail parties, basically. So you collect the fails, and if you have enough fails, you throw a fail party. So that's kind of like what you do. If you press a couple of times, there will be like 2 more times, there will be example of exactly, you know, celebrating. So we, for example, we have both. Of course, you have to celebrate wins as well, right? But yeah.
I already have a couple of candidates for our fail board. Like,
I think you're most failing when you're not testing. Then you're really failing.
Yeah.
Yes. So I love this. I mean, I remember that Supercell did something similar with kind of making fail parties if a game or something really failed, and I think that's how they came up with the super hits of Clash of Clans in heyday. So
actually, if you see those about the amount of times that you have to fail in order to get a win, and the learning process, I think the faster you fill your fail board, the faster you're gonna get more on your win board.
Yeah.
Because that's also the second thing about growth hacking. You have to, the faster you test and you experiment, it's the faster your learning process will be. So I mean, in a sense, failing is good because you fail fast, you fail short, and you fail cheap.
Yeah.
Of course.
It's like you and therefore you come to the big break faster.
Of course, you need to learn from the failures. That's
Definitely.
the thing. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Maybe one thing about this, talking about the failures, when you have a culture, when you don't yet started talking about the failures, the first failures actually have to come from the management. So it's very difficult to expect from managers that suddenly everybody will start sharing the failures if it hasn't been discussed before. Remember that, you know, if you want to bring it up, put your failures first, and then the rest will come.
Actually, that's a pretty good advice. We're going to use that as a tagline.
But hey, the management never fails, isn't it? Anyway, let's go forward. Cool, I love it. So from the business strategy perspective, what seems to be the biggest challenge that needs to be overcome in order to adopt the growth hacking mindset? So what is your kind of experience on that, Mariam?
This is a very good question, and I think that, you know, it's basically a growth mindset. Like, seriously, like, I cannot understate it like enough that, you know, we are not lacking with people being, you know, having skills. You know, company also, they are seeing the need for growth hacking and experimentation to be more data driven and be more customer centric, which basically growth hacking is about that.
Yes.
But the mindset is the number one blockage for doing it. And again, like you cannot run any transformation without people. So the growth mindset here, if this is something for everybody just to notice that this is a great book by Carol Dweck about the mindset, which basically you have a growth mindset or fixed mindset. And growth mindset is basically people who look at the obstacles as positive things. They have a belief that they can learn, they can develop, stuff on. So,
I love it. I mean, there is maybe a much more, how to say, like harsh saying in life, you're rather growing or you're dying. So it's a bit like this. So as you said, you rather grow, you're stuck, but it's a bit the same with in the business world. If you're not growing constantly, at some point you will be not growing at all anymore. And
I mean, just think about last year compared to 2 years ago.
Yeah.
The business environment is changing now way faster than before. So there's like no way that you can just sit down and be like, we'll get it there. It's like, no, you have to keep experimenting and trying. There's
no, we will not do work from home. We will not do that. So yeah, you will have a problem if you don't do that. So you need to adapt. Yeah, you need to grow.
Totally. And innovation was one of the key urgent skills, especially last year in March, April, when companies, when they had the digitalization, a strategy, written for 3 years, suddenly they had to implement it over 2 days or 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So this is exactly the right mindset. We can do it, and we can just fix it some. We also have the saying, build fast and fixed later. So,
yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, even in the smaller business, think about the restaurants. They had to go in a few weeks from like serving people to actually being able to use any other type of technology or strategy to get like their food to people, because otherwise. So yeah, you gotta think fast.
Totally. And the growth mindset is not only the attribute of people. Actually, there's a super good book about industry or companies that you can also have a growth mindset companies who have actually, like I showed I will show later some examples of the companies who actually have it. So that's something that it's the whole company might have this kind of mindset.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that. I mean, I'm doing change management for Microsoft 365 now for a long time, and it has been always a pain because Microsoft technology is not the easiest to use. Let's say it like that, and organizations struggle a lot. And now I started to actually, when I started this whole growth hacking journey with Odie, I started to apply growth hacking mindset to user adoption, and it starts to work really well because it's exactly how it is. It drives change, and you experiment with different measures. How let's say information is received with the users, that they can go and adopt to new technologies and new ways of working easier.
Yeah.
So it has to do a lot with mindset.
It's all about people in the end. I know that whatever fancy tools we can apply and however we want to proceed this, in the end it goes down to people. And maybe one note as well that we can actually see this as a huge challenge, especially in last year, when they were organizations, when you have employees working for, let's say, 20, 30 years in the same way of working, and actually they had to reinvent the way of working, be data-driven, go online over, 1 month. Think about that.
All the onboarding that needed to be done, and the trainings that needed to be delivered online. So it's kind of like, this is a little bit where we were thinking that, you just have to be flexible in trying to reach the different channels and then experiment which is the channel that works the best. And
Totally.
Just an ad for Happit. Try Happit.
Okay. All right. Then some few more slides about culture.
Yeah, so this is something that I just mentioned before, that because it's always good to have some examples, right, about the to showcase that companies are some companies are really serious about it and they see the value. One of them, which we always bring up, is of course that's not the only company, but one that we are bringing up as an example is Microsoft. They some years ago they actually implemented the growth mindset as one of their core values for them, and they evaluate the employees based on that. So, just serious.
Yeah, I mean, I've been working with Microsoft for let's say 15 years right now, And I've kind of been through the different stages of Microsoft from the different CEOs there has been, and it's a tremendous change from how Microsoft has been, let's say 10 years ago. It's a huge difference in you can see it in their tools, you can see it in how they communicate, you can see it how they are perceived by the users. They're still hard to use, the tools, but the kind of the pace of change and how they are listening to users is different.
The rate that you're getting like new stuff out of Microsoft, like for example breakout rooms in Teams, it was like it took them 2 months from where like, oh, we should do this, and then suddenly like the first test of breakout rooms was there, and I was like, actually this is so cool.
Yeah.
And this is exactly so. This is this growth mindset, and actually listening to the people, and not clinging on your own opinions, and then hope they will fly. So this is not
Totally. They actually, their main, like if I would see when studying this case of Microsoft, like I would say that if there would be one change that it's really significant as a culture wise, it's like from know it all culture to learn it all. Like by definition, I think they just, the approach is like, let's learn, let's try, and I think that this is, again, if you go to the original question, if you don't have this, like how you can even think about implementing growth hacking, so like let's start with the basics there, at least on the team level.
Absolutely. Then the last question. So what is the process between growth hacking at a strategic management level down to implementing growth marketing methods which are sustainable, repeatable, and scalable to grow a business?
Yeah, that's also a very good question. So again, it comes to, maybe two things, if I would say. Like, first of all, like it's just easy to have some kind of frameworks, right? So it's easy to, a growth hacking as definition, like running experiments. You can have like 5 steps of running experiments, from, bringing the experiments or ideas to, putting them through the work and learning from them, and on repeat. Basically, it's like a ongoing process. So having some processes like in place and frameworks in place is the one thing. But again, if we go through actually people, again, that they have to implement it, it's all about actually attracting first people who are the most excited about it. That's the whole change management, right? So in any group, and I think you mentioned that you know this very well, this graph, I think it's known, fairly known graph here, in the chasm. But again, the same applies from, for growth hacking as a new or way of working. So you will have people who will be super excited about it, the first 2 groups, but then you will have the, gap. And then you have people up to the group who will be blocking the change, who say like, this is absolutely not working for us. I don't want to do it. Yeah. So having this process in somehow in manageable way organized, that you first focus on the innovators and those early adopters, bring it there, show the successes, and then run it through the whole organization.
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, how again we adopt that as well in user adoption things as well. So we try to find always these innovators and early adopters and get them in a special champions program where they get special treatment, they get more information, they are ahead of the pack, they feel special, they get like more, let's say, things they can go and help the whole team to adopt to new software or to new processes or to any other change in a way. And this is a really powerful tool, and you need to find those, you need to have them on your side, otherwise it's different. The other thing, sorry Ori, we'll come back.
I was just going to compliment on that plus they actually become your evangelists. They are the ones that are going to drive the change from within. They exactly tried it, they believe in it, and then they make it their own.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the other thing what we figured out is that you have different phases in this whole journey of change and adoption. So for instance, the messaging you push out on the first day is totally different than, let's say, 4 or 5 months down the line. And a lot of companies, they don't understand that. They just create everything in the beginning and then they throw it over the fence and say, hey, go run with it. And this never really works. So in the beginning, as you said before, Maria, you need to kind of get people excited. You need to get them on board. So you need to have measures in place or communication in place which actually supports this time of the phase, basically.
Yeah. And one thing I would say that, if you are, if you are about to implement growth hacking, let's say in the organization, and then you kind of like identify which people in your organization fall in each of those groups, like my highly recommendation is don't focus on anybody else in the first stage, but just innovators and early adopters. Just focus your whole energy on those people excited about it. Run the first experiments, get the first results, because then you will see early majority will be looking like, oh, what these guys are doing there. This is actually bringing some results. So this is how you convert them. It comes, as Ori, you said, from within. It doesn't come from.
Yeah, and it's kind of like funny because, I was doing some growth hacking for a large company here in Finland that works with machinery. And when we started the sales doing growth hacking, the sales reps were a little bit reluctant. Like, why are you doing this? It's going to take my job. Like, how I'm not going to be able to do this. And then when we actually started like bringing them leads and customers that were easier, like more ready to do the purchase and stuff like that, they start to see that, all right, now I want in. And then they started getting like other units from within that very large company saying like, hey, we've seen what you guys are doing there. You're too small. Like, we want the big success. Like, bring that here.
Yeah.
So first the ones that said no, because this is like the growth hacking mumbo jumbo, then they were like demanding it. It was kind of like interesting to see that.
Yeah.
This is pretty classic, exactly.
Yeah.
All right. On that bombshell, I think we are through.
Hey, that was not a bombshell. That was a beautiful story.
Exactly. It was a beautiful story. But thanks a lot for this super interesting discussion. Thanks, Maria, for being here. It was an absolute pleasure. And then, I wish a great rest of the week and hopefully not so much pain anymore with the cold weather outside.
I personally, I like it, so it's on all these sides. It's all these sides. I'm
Otis,
Maria is okay with it. Like, I'm the one in pain here. But again, also from my part, thank you so much for joining us, Maria. We know that you have a super busy schedule and you're like running all the time, so really appreciated the time that you took to chat with us and goof around a little bit around growth hacking.
Yes, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.